Plestia Alakad, 22 years old, was just over a year out of university with a journalism degree when she found herself in the middle of the devastating war. She took a blue press helmet and vest to interview families in refugee camps and hospitals, posting the videos to Instagram. "I can't just look at what's happening without doing anything," she told the Associated Press in an interview Tuesday in Beirut. Alakad was among a handful of young journalists and media workers from Gaza City sharing what they saw on social media. She went viral and now has over 4.5 million followers on Instagram. Alakad landed in Lebanon last month to pursue a master's degree in media studies at the American University of Beirut. She has been awarded a scholarship named after iconic Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, who was killed in 2022 while reporting on an Israeli military raid in the occupied West Bank. She had already lived through 3 wars in Gaza by the time she graduated university, but the war that began on October 7th was on a different scale. The war, which at current scale was triggered by the deadly Hamas-led attack on southern Israel, has killed over 40,000 Palestinians in Gaza, according to the health ministry. Hamas' attack on Israel killed some 1,200 people and took another 250 hostages. The Israeli aerial bombardment and ground offensive has caused vast destruction across Gaza Strip, with entire neighborhoods wiped out and critical infrastructure heavily damaged. "It used to break my heart seeing kids standing in lines for hours just to buy bread or to fill tanks with water. Instead of those kids being at a school, they're standing in line to do these chores." She hoped her social media coverage would counter what she saw as the dehumanization of Palestinians in the wider media and show that they are more than just numbers. "I used to connect with the people and get to know them on a deeper level so people can remember their names, their smiles, and who they are," Alakad said. Reporting while tending to her own and her family's well-being and safety was often complicated. Electricity and telecom cuts at times made charging equipment and uploading material a challenge. Sometimes she would have to put work on hold to secure basic items, including food. "I would think, what a downgrade. Why am I spending 3 hours of my day just to search for eggs?" she said. Alakad said she was displaced several times in just 2 months, moving between houses and hospital in Gaza City before heading south to stay with relatives in Khan Yunis. One night, her mother told her that her uncle in Australia had secured them temporary visas to evacuate and that the family could leave to Egypt through Rafah border crossing. Alakad said she was reluctant to leave, but felt that continuing to cover the war would be an eventual death sentence, and so she left for Australia in late November. According to Committee to Protect Journalists, at least 111 Palestinian journalists and media workers in Gaza have been killed by Israel. "You either get forcefully displaced out of your country, or eventually you get targeted and killed. I felt at one point that we will all stay in Gaza and just get killed, and the story will never go out to the world." Since she left, more of Gaza has been leveled to the ground in Israeli military operations. Most of Gaza's population of 2.3 million people have been displaced and no longer have access to the Rafah crossing. Efforts for a ceasefire and the release of Israeli hostages mediated by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States remain unsuccessful. Alakad said witnessing the destruction of schools and universities in Gaza has given even more importance to her in furthering her education. She hopes to return to report on Gaza's reconstruction once a ceasefire agreement is reached and on the Palestinians' ongoing advocacy for self-determination. "You can leave Gaza, but I don't think Gaza can ever leave you," she said.